And welcome back to the Daily Sip at 3:30. Well, as Black History Month is wrapping up this week, we once again want to take a look at the two museums to learn more about our history. And we're lucky enough to get to see some of the items that are currently in storage. They will be on storage. They're periodically on storage, then they put them back, or periodically on display, then put them back in storage. But these items, some of them are in storage at the moment and not on display. But we learned about the two African-American quilters who used needles and cloth to tell their stories. Okay. Just get the folks of Mississippi sort of a general idea of the treasures that we have here.
So we have a very large collection. This storage room that we're in is actually only for our textiles. We are very lucky to have a very large collection of quilts in our collection. That's what you see largely here. There is two of these cabinets that are filled with flags, but the rest of these are quilts. And we have, I believe it's 6 quilts that are on display in the History Museum as well, and those get rotated every 2 years. Okay.
Well, now you have some quilts here. Then tell us the story about the quilts.
So we're trying to focus on 2 of our quilters right now. Both are on display in our Civil Rights Museum. So we have quilts by Hurstacine Rankin, and we have 2 in our collection storage, as well as Gwendolyn McGee.
Okay. Tell me about them.
Miss Rankin actually started quilting when she was younger. Her father was unfortunately lynched, and after that she moved in with her grandmother, who taught her how to quilt. And at that point it was more of a necessity that you needed something to keep you warm. Quilts keep you very warm because of the way it's manufactured, that you're sewing in these little pockets of air that keep in the warm air and keep you warm during the day. So that's why quilting is very popular throughout the United States, using what you had to keep you warm. But then when she got older, she had the freedom and the time to tell stories with her quilts, and both by using traditional methods, as the quilt behind us right here, using traditional forms, but with the colors and the different patterns that she used to tell stories. This one in particular, she's using kente cloth, which is native from Ghana. And then using what she called memory quilts, which is the example here. The 2 that we have in our collection are telling the story about her father's lynching and what happened after that. And so the one on display within the Civil Rights Museum is actually about going to her father's funeral and being intimidated by the people who lynched her father on the way to mourn her father. And then Gwendolyn McGee, her quilting style is much different. So she did not do the more traditional quilts as Miss Rankin did, but it was more like, almost like a collage. And she didn't start quilting until her children were going on the way to college, and she wanted something to remind them of home when they were away from home. And so started quilting later in her life, and then used it to tell stories all about the African-American way of life.
Do you rotate these quilts? I mean, these are in storage down here, yes, but people will get to see these eventually then.
Eventually, yes. So the quilt that's behind us, the one with the kente cloth, was actually on display for a temporary exhibit that we had when we first opened. But in general, we do try to rotate things that we call light sensitive within the collection, so things that are made out of textiles and paper and things like that, just so that we prolong how long that we have these to tell stories, because things will fade over time, of course. So always be something new, not only in our permanent galleries where we rotate things in, but our temporary exhibits as well. So.
Great. And Ms. Rankin died at the age of 80 in 2010, and Gwendolyn McGee died in 2011. She was only 67 years old. But their stories live on in their works, and their works are at the 2 museums, downtown Jackson.